All right. Thanks everyone for joining episode two. Today I have Kyle Payne with me. He's the area manager at Amazon in Texas. And so a little bit of background. So he studied business management marketing and just graduated last year. So yeah, thanks Kyle. Thanks for joining. And to kind of dive into it, do you want to just kind of tell me your background? How you ended up at Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Kaysen kind of knows, but these days it's get pretty hard to find a job, and I was I was so nervous. I was actually looking. I think it was like probably 5 months before I graduated, and the big thing is I wanted to work for a big corporation where I could move around. So if I didn't like something, um, I wanted the opportunities that came with big companies and being able to, hey, I don't like this, I can move somewhere else. And so the biggest thing is I found three different companies I looked at, and the first one was Tesla, the second one was Amazon, and the third one was Texas Instruments. So I wanted to look far enough in advance to give myself some time. Um, that way would have the most opportunities by the time I graduated. So
Gotcha. Yeah, those are all huge companies. I know, like we kind of talked about it a little bit. Yeah, the job market's been super tough right now. Um, do you want to tell everyone? So, were you looking for like a marketing position at first, or?
yeah, I would honestly. It's kind of hard. So the way the market is right now, um, I looked at big companies. I looked at smaller marketing companies because there's all types of companies out there for marketing. A lot of
Mhm.
startups, a lot of medium-sized companies. Um, but honestly, I took whatever gave me the most opportunities to move around. Um, Amazon and Tesla were the ones that got back to me, and they were the ones when I had talked to their recruiters. Um, they took my background and then they gave me information on, hey, you can move. You can start here and move this direction if you want to. So I was like, well, let me see what comes up and we can go from there. And so with my background in warehouses, it made it a little bit, I guess you could say, skewonk because I had 3 years or 4 years of experience in warehouses while I was going to school, and
Mhm.
then I didn't have any experience in marketing besides what was done at college.
Right.
Um, but yeah, they took. She's like, hey, since you have so much experience in warehouses, we'll start you off in warehouses, and then if you want to move into marketing or SEO or whatever opportunities Amazon had, you can move that way. So because it's
Mhm.
part of your degree.
Yeah, gotcha. So how do you like working for Amazon, and what exactly do you do as an area manager?
Yeah. So this is the hardest question. Um, the, the biggest thing I would say, or the easiest way to explain it, is I just help the warehouse to function properly and to send out packages in time. And so with that, that means I'm in charge of a certain area of the warehouse. I'm in charge of anywhere from 40 to 100 employees, just depending on the type of year. Obviously, around Christmas, I have so many associates that I'm in charge of. I'm just making sure that everything's getting out on time, that the associates are picking enough products. So anytime you order a product, what happens is it comes up on the screen, and an automated pod will bring the product, and the associate will grab that and send it down the line. and so that's the area that I'm responsible for. There's a couple different areas in fulfillment centers. Um, but yeah, that's my main responsibility, and just making sure that the warehouse is running properly, that we're getting everything out in time. So especially with shipping and how fast things are with Amazon.
Hmm. Gotcha. Do you have to work with like any type of software like Tableau or anything?
A little bit, but there's all sorts of stuff. Amazon creates pretty much their own software and their own
Mhm.
everything's pretty much made by Amazon. So we
Right.
use mostly Amazon software, Amazon products. So
Gotcha. And like what kind of skills do you need, going into that type of role, would you say?
uh, I wouldn't say you have to, but it is makes you stand out a lot is your people skills.
Hmm.
If you love talking to people and love um, being able to be around people, then people can tell the difference. So I have some managers that are really struggling in the warehouse, and my managers notice how much of a difference my associates do than the managers who are just all about numbers and don't
Hmm.
really have any people skills and don't really like to talk to their employees or their associates. So for me personally, I think if you have good people skills and you like working with people, that's the biggest thing, as well as forecasting. Forecasting is huge with Amazon. Just making sure you aren't doing output too much product, and you pick everything in the warehouse and you got nothing left to pick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of forecasting involved with that, as well
Mhm.
as uh, using Excel sheets is huge. Excel is big in Amazon, so everything's done in spreadsheets or Excel sheets. So
Right. And so just a little background, like Kyle and I, we took spreadsheet analysis at BYU Idaho. Would you say that was like a huge help to you?
yeah,
That you using Excel a lot?
yeah, yeah. I'm still trying to get it down because there's a
Right.
lot. So, um, especially with if you're really good with macros, it's very helpful. And as long as you get permission from IT, you can actually have stuff pulled from the data pulled from Amazon, and you can make things a lot easier, and it looks really good for you, especially if you're wanting promotions. So that's
Mhm.
something that I'm working on because macros were pretty rough in college. um, but that kind of stuff's really helpful, and that makes you look really good.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard that a lot from a bunch of different people, and honestly, like before taking that class, I had no idea how to do macros or anything super in depth. Like I thought I knew Excel, but definitely didn't. So,
True.
um, so I guess like Amazon. So you decided to you had an offer with Tesla, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess like you might have kind of talked about it a little bit. But why did you decide to go with Amazon?
Um, my thing, so I had a couple different things. So,
Hmm.
one is job security. The offer that I had with Tesla, I really like Elon Musk. He's awesome. I
He
like the
is.
way that he thinks. Um, but the thing is, job security is huge. And I know that in the past,
Mhm.
Tesla has laid off a decent amount of their people, year over year, and then they'll rehire, and it's just a whole process. Job security was the biggest one, especially with me and my wife being newly married, and
Mhm.
wanting to start a family in the future. I wanted something that I didn't have to worry about getting laid off or getting, fired. Um, and then the second thing is, I know there's a lot more opportunities with Amazon than there is with Tesla. Tesla is a huge company, don't get me wrong, but there was more. um, opportunities in marketing, more opportunities in everything pretty much because Amazon has music, videos,
Hmm.
they have pretty much everything. So if you
Right.
want to move around, there's lots.
Yeah. Yeah. Your audio cut out. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So you decided to go the route of just finding which companies you wanted to work for and then start applying from there, right? Instead of, looking for the roles and then just applying wherever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of did the opposite. So I think it's good to. I know like some of our professors, they kind of told us to come up with like a list of companies we wanted to work for, and
Mhm.
then start applying there. So um, yeah, but Amazon, yeah, it sounds like they have really good job security, and like a lot of different routes you can go.
Mhm.
I mean, I interviewed with. I mean, Kyle knows this, but I interviewed with Amazon as well, and that's kind of what they said. They're like, we have so many opportunities out here. Like, if you decide what you're doing right now isn't what you want to keep doing, you can always, pivot.
Mhm.
So, did you did you talk to anyone about potentially like moving into marketing or another role? Like, how does that work at Amazon? Like, how do you, if you don't have too much experience now, how do you like move over?
Yeah. So it all depends. You just have to be open.
Hmm.
Right now, I'm actually in the works of transferring over to delivery station, which is a little bit easier to run, and the schedule is a little bit different than the schedule that I work now. Um, so with fulfillment centers, their schedules can get pretty hefty, and then you have the delivery stations, and their schedules are a lot different. It's a little bit easier, but you also have the sorting centers, which you know about, which their schedules are all different. Um, Currently, I'm trying to transfer over there. It's not a huge problem in being able to pivot. It's
Mhm.
just whether or not you can move. So a lot of Amazon's corporate jobs are based in Seattle. And so if you're willing to move, then there's plenty of opportunities. So my biggest thing is me and my wife just bought a house, so there's not much, obviously,
Nice.
moving wise, we can
Yeah.
do. So, but yeah, it's not too bad as long as you have experience and then you have a great leader that can help you set up a good, we call it a baseball card. It's kind of like
Mhm.
a Amazon resume. So the more projects you do, the more you get under your belt, you can put on that baseball card or resume,
Right.
um, which could in turn, then that will help you when you're applying for marketing positions, say. Um,
Mhm.
it'll be easier for you to get it. So, and then having good relationships with your leaders as well,
Mhm.
um, because potentially when you apply for that position, they'll reach out to your leaders. So
Mhm.
it's always good to have the leaders on board as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed like so I worked at Amazon for a little bit and I noticed that Amazon is really set on like helping you be successful as a person and they're really willing to like invest in you and kind of, if you see somewhere that you'd be a good fit, like, they're willing to kind of make those connections and move you up. So, I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of what it was like when I was working at the warehouse.
Yeah, it just depends. Everywhere is different.
Right.
I know every big company, everyone is hit or miss whether the culture is great or not. So
Hmm.
our building has a pretty decent culture, and I've gotten lucky, and my bosses have been pretty great. So and they've helped kind of cultivate and help me grow. So it just depends because sometimes you get bad leaders too. So, but yeah,
Right.
that's Amazon's main goal is to help you grow and to ultimately help you be where you want to be. So,
Hmm. Gotcha. So like where do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself, in marketing or is there another spot that you're looking at going into, or?
Yeah. So it's actually something I've thought about a lot because I'm coming up my 1 year, and as Amazon, obviously, with the big companies, you sign contracts for 1 to 2 years,
Oh,
and
nice.
so my big thing is right now, obviously, I'm trying to transfer to something that's closer to my house, that has better schedule. It allows me to with that schedule allows me to do more projects because at fulfillment centers you get pretty busy, so there's not a ton of free time to do projects. That way it looks better on my resume. But I would, 5 years out, like to pivot over to marketing. So right
Mhm.
now I'm just trying to slowly build up my portfolio, my baseball card or resume, and so I'm trying to pivot to another area that'll allow me to do that better. So that way it's easier for me. Because once you have a couple years under your belt, I'd say like 2 or 3 is preferred.
Mhm.
It looks really good when you're applying for other places or other positions. Sorry. So
Right, yeah. Instead of just like the 3 to 6 months of like internships or a year or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Gotcha. So to end off, I always like to ask for advice for, students who are still in school. Like, what advice would you have to someone who maybe wants to be an area manager, work for Amazon, or just in general, what should they do right now to kind of land, their dream job or work for their dream company?
yeah. I think like we've been saying earlier, it is a little bit harder to get your dream job nowadays, but it's not
Mhm.
impossible. And if you don't have your dream position right now, it is possible in the future. You just have to kind of work towards it. Um, so it's a little bit harder now, but I would say just making sure not to wait last minute. I know I did. Yeah. I have
Mhm.
one buddy who um, he had to live at home, I think it was a year, and he had to work. Um, it was like a normal job, a warehouse job, and it didn't pay very well. And because he waited too long to look for a position, because he's like, oh, I'll have my bachelor's degree, that's fine, I'll find plenty of
Mhm.
jobs. But the way the market is, it's pretty hard, especially when I've reached out to people building connections. They're like, yeah, our HR is backed up like 3 months or four
Yeah.
months or 6 months. So like with Tesla, that took them like 5 months to get back to me, and that was the longest it took. Amazon was about 3 months; they weren't as backed up, and TI Texas Instruments were pretty backed up as well because they didn't even get back to me until after I'd accepted my offer with Amazon. So. But I would say the biggest thing is one, building connections. If you have those referrals, it does help you get into companies a little bit easier. And then two is looking far enough in advance that you give yourself time to be able to find a job. So, and that way, if you do have multiple offers as well, you can use those multiple offers kind of, I wouldn't say against each other, but if one company's offering you something else, you can say, "Hey, this company offered me that. Can you offer me something better?"
Right.
So, giving you yourself time gives you more opportunities. So,
Hmm. Yeah, that's really good advice. Did you kind of bounce off offers as well?
I tried to, but the hard thing is Amazon offered like a decent amount more, so
Yeah.
I didn't really have to do it too much.
Well,
I, I tried to bounce it off with Tesla, but Tesla wasn't having too much, so just because their engineers are the ones that are paid the most. So,
hmm, yeah. No, yeah, that's really good advice. I know when I was still in college, I started applying for jobs, and I wish I would have started earlier because, like Kyle mentioned, like I don't know what's going on in the job market right now, but it's taken a long time to hear back from companies. So, yeah, the I guess the faster you start on that and the easier it is, especially when you have multiple offers. So I like that advice. But yeah, I thanks again for joining and taking time to kind of talk a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Casey.
Sweet, thank you.